Well, while this is loading, hi everyone. I know you guys can't see me yet, but
There we go. Now you can see. If you don't already seen, you have to go over there.
okay.
And then you get it logged in.
Uh, I still don't have the link yet. It's loading. So the one you forwarded to me.
No, but I just sent you a link.
I know, I don't have it yet.
Oh,
It's not up here.
let me make sure it went through. No, nothing like that. Sent. Oh, yeah.
Yes, table. Yeah. So, there's a.
Oh, shoot, honest. I was just sitting in my office. Oh,
It's on your Monday.
Is it in your draft folder?
it's in my outbox. Why is it not calling?
Are you having memory issues? Because sometimes if you're in Outlook, it will sit there until you clear out some of your.
No, no, I don't have memory issues. No internet.
Why
Why?
it's being really slow too.
Oh my God, let me connect to my Wi-Fi.
You think we'll have the hotspot?
Look at your phone. Sure.
Yeah. You, I have one.
Yeah.
Online.
My phone.
This one is still.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a pretty good.
Yeah.
And you guys have some water.
Mhm.
The rain.
Yeah. Still about 2 feet low right now, but
Yeah, you got like 2 inches, which. I believe you're on these.
it does, it definitely does. Martina, while we wait, do you want to introduce yourself if you're able to? Can't hear you. You're muted.
I'm on mute.
Yeah.
Not usually that technology challenged. Good morning. My name is Martina Hansen. I am the founder of the Cove and Compass Experience. It's a new boutique, short-term rental design and property management company. And I actually, just a little bit of background. I had been a senior executive in higher education for many, many years, decades, and had been running some short-term rentals, and decided to make a career change and actually move into property management. I enjoyed it that much. I most recently set a record for the highest grossing short-term rental here at Lake Anna, and then I sold that in December and set a record on the private side. Um, but now we are working to make ourselves a little bit more known here at Lake Anna, because we are new, but we've been doing very well with the properties that we have. In fact, at some point today, I think you'll see some stats, but We're rated top 1% on the lake, and we are at about 140% MPI, so beating the market. So that's great, and we're really proud of what we've done so far, and really love some of the work that we're doing on the design side too, which I think provides a lot of needed relief for some of the investors here. So anyway, if you have questions, please let me know. I am also a realtor, and am with REMAX Distinctive. So that is also why I'm on this call, but it's nice to meet you. I haven't had a chance to meet many people yet. So please, if I do bump into you, please introduce yourselves. I'm very looking forward to meeting everybody. That's it.
Thank you, Martina. Yeah, she does a great job with even furnishing the property. She goes above and beyond and really makes sure there's something for everyone. And that her goal while staging and furnishing the properties is that the renters never have to leave, which encourages returning renters.
You said it well, Mason. Thank you.
Says no internet.
I'm gonna try my hotspot.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
It's always there.
Mine, it should be Mason's
I
iPhone
saw it.
and the password.
Let me see where it goes. The first one, oh, there it is. Mason's iPhone.
And the password. It's Mason W43.
Oh, lowercase.
Yep. My little teaching every day.
I don't know what happened to my phone.
I'm gonna call
I know. Unless it's in on the side of the cushion over there on that chair.
Where is it? Is it key?
Yeah. Okay, the side of. This is not, this has to be my computer.
my Wi-Fi was acting weird too, but
Oh my God, I gotta reboot this. Oh my God, really? All right, I'm gonna claim host here. Huh. I should be there. I'm gonna have to do out of this. I hope this is not gonna kick me out. Am I host here? Come on. This should be that. Me host. You claim host. Okay. Maybe I can boot my instead of
thank you guys for your patience.
All right. Cooperate, somebody cooperate, please. This technology stuff doesn't go wrong unless there's a crisis. And it's guaranteed to go wrong, and even when you set it up in advance. I was here an hour early and I got it all set up and now it didn't work.
Sounds about right.
That's working though.
Well, good thing is we didn't get booted out of that, so
Yeah.
that's one good thing.
Thank you.
All right. Try this again. All right. This is showing I am connected to Mason's phone. Zoom. Oh, no, wait. If I'm connected to Mason's phone, I should be able to send an email. Rush my emails. My outbox. One message. Should be there. New messages. New messages. One message. There, it's gone.
Okay. Let's see. There we go.
It's tough one. It's always the way it goes, when you need something to happen right then,
Yeah,
it takes longer.
well, it's probably another one. The most recent one is probably the last
Gotcha.
one.
Okay.
There.
Sweet.
Okay. And now here. Got there.
Alrighty.
Where the Zoom's live. Wait, I need to give you. You need to see what to allow you to share. On that. Mouse. Here. Now. What is it?
Cool. Sorry.
Okay, do you all see the slideshow presentation on Zoom? Kevin or Martina? Okay, got it.
Alright.
Good deal. Take the stage.
Alright, so it's gonna be hard a little bit for you guys to see me while I'm presenting, because I'm gonna need to be near the computer. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer to the camera. I'm in the black view.
You're fine.
Okay. Alright, so I really wanted to showcase, we get a lot of buyers from Northern Virginia, kind of up in this area. And sometimes we actually count on that because the agents don't know the area well. So if we have tough listing as the Lake Anna agent, sometimes we count on that. And I'll kind of explain why. So my goal is to set you guys up to feel confident to represent your buyers as they're looking in that area. So this is just a generic map. We'll come back to this a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna give you, if you're following along. All right, so we're gonna get into quite a bit of information throughout this presentation. I just wanted to show you this map. To start out, I do have some really good maps from Lake Anna Civic Association. And if you guys have any questions throughout the process, just feel free to start talking. So about me, I've been going to the lake since I was a kid. Here's actually a picture of me from when I was 8 years old. Yeah, I moved there full time when I was 16. My family's developed over 20 neighborhoods in Lake Anna. And then I focus on primarily Lake Anna property. So this is just a nice picture. My photographer was very kind to basically let me go through all of her pictures to use. This is an important piece right here. We'll kind of come back to this. So I don't know how familiar you guys are with it, but there's a public side and a private side to Lake Anna. And this is one of the separators of the side of the lake. It's called a dike. So Lake Anna, especially as an agent, there's so many ins and outs of the entire lake. So just a little bit of general knowledge for Lake Anna. It's about 13,000 acres, 17 miles long. There's over 100 neighborhoods and it continues to grow. There's about 200 miles of shoreline. Some people say 272, but I got 200 from the government, Louisiana County government website. It's a man-made lake. And there's two different sides. That's kind of what we talked about, the public and private. It's the third largest lake in Virginia. And it spans 3 counties, and that's Louisa, Orange, and Spotsylvania. Orange only takes up a tiny bit of the lake. And then the deepest part of the lake is about 80 feet deep. This is just some cool history on it. So the area is called Mineral, and it was originally called Tollersville. And the reason they changed the name to Mineral is because it was used as a lot of mining. And there's a ton of mines, so I'll kind of come back to that later too. But it was built in 1972 by Devco, now Dominion, specifically for the purpose of the nuclear power plant. They expected it to fill within 3 years, but it actually filled up in 18 months. We kind of have a local legend that there's still equipment buried at the lake. And then they used the North Anna River to dam it up. This picture right here is the dam. This is a very old picture. And then the background is while they were digging out the lake, what is now the lake. So this is pretty generic knowledge. Some people don't know, especially if you've never been, but there's 2 sides, the public and private side. Public is also known as the cold side, the private, the warm side. There's benefits to both. So when you're representing a buyer, it's important to ask them what's important to them when they live there. So with the public side, especially on weekends, there's a ton of boat traffic, but you also get access to all the marinas, the restaurants. It is a lot cooler water. There's normally about a 15-degree difference in water temperature. Because what happens is the water from the public side goes into the nuclear power plant, cools the reactors, and then is put into the private side in the cooling ponds, as they're called. And I'll kind of go back to the pictures here. So the private side is much smaller. These lines right here is what separates the lake. So the plant is right around here. It goes through the water goes through these channels, and then it goes into the cooling ponds or lagoons.
We're not seeing it cursor moving.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's there. Let's see a little bit.
Oh, it's there?
Yeah.
Oh, Nigeria after
Yeah, so, yeah, and then so also too, roughly this area is Spotsylvania County and then beyond. And then pretty much most of this side is Louisa County, and then you get a little bit of Orange County up here. Orange County, as locals, we kind of stay away from that area because the water is very stagnant. And I'm sure you guys have seen the publicity we get every year about algae. It's primarily in Orange County because the water is so stagnant, shallow. It doesn't get a lot of boat traffic in that area. So the algae just tends to bloom there. So with the private side, there's no marinas, no restaurants, anything like that. You get much less boat traffic. It's very private and usually pretty calm, especially on weekdays. Same with the public side. If you go out on a weekday, you're not going to get much boat traffic. But the people that live there guys on. Nice and all right. Good, good. So we're pretty much just getting started. Over the history is here. Go ahead, it's all right. I got you.
that's the end of the.
Okay. So this is really important when it comes to representing your buyers in Lake Anna. No community is the same. Every single one is gonna have different amenities. Some of them only have boat ramps, and what I find with a lot of buyers is they might want a covered boat slip. Or they have to have somewhere to put their boat. I find a lot of people do look for covered boat slips, and that's a non-negotiable for them. So it's important to know the communities that you're looking at. Again, there's over 100 neighborhoods on Lake Anna right now. So it's also, while you're looking at the amenities, especially the boat slips, it's important to know if they're deeded or assigned or owned by the HOA essentially. If they're deeded, it's much more protection for your clients, as in the HOA can't take it away at some point. And then, of course, some neighborhoods have lots of different amenities like tennis courts, clubhouses, pools, but those amenities are a bit more rare in Lake Anna.
Vincent, you said that some slips are lottery. Explain that.
Yes, okay, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So sometimes it's not many neighborhoods, I can think of two, where their boat slips are lottery. So every year you, sign up essentially, and it goes to a random picker to see who gets the boat slip. It's pretty rare to see that, but, yes, there are some neighborhoods that have that. And another important thing too, is it's really good to know how deep the water is. Because if you get a slip in shallow water, you can't use it. Especially if you have a big wake boat or something.
Yeah, keep going.
Yep, so this one right here, this is a pretty generic common area. This is countryside at Lake Anna. It's a small neighborhood, not many houses, but not everyone in that neighborhood is gonna get a boat slip. Here's some other common areas. So this one is a neighborhood called Sunset Cove. They have a pool is huge. There's a fitness center down here. This one is really hard to compare to. Not many neighborhoods, actually no other neighborhoods has the amount of amenities this one does. The next best comparable would be the Waters, and this is one of 3 of their common areas. This one has a lot of other amenities that I'm not going to get too much into. Here's also the Waters. So right now, the lake is about 2 feet below sea level, or below full pond. So these slips, you're not going to be able to get a boat in here. It's going to be very difficult to get a boat here.
How often does that happen?
Very rarely. This is the first time it's been this low since, I think, 2002. So it's very rare to get this low. The entire state's been in a drought. And actually, the dam, they've been reducing the water flow through the dam. I think they go through about 20 million gallons per minute. It's a ridiculous amount of water, and they've reduced the flow to kind of help bring the levels back up some. Okay, yeah. So you can see they have the tennis court here, they have a pool. This is the next comparable as far as amenities go, the Sunset Cove, and these are on opposite sides of the lake, so public and private. And this one's called Mill Run. It's a beautiful common area. They all have covered slips. And they have a nice outhouse. Here's an aerial of Sunset Cove. There's really not many neighborhoods like this one in Lake Anna. It's the only PUD in Lake Anna. It's the only neighborhood where you're gonna find the houses this close together. And it fits a very specific lifestyle. Part of the HOA is lawn care. No other neighborhood has that. Here's another one of the Waters. This is also the Waters. So I know it's a lot of information and I don't expect you guys to know all this stuff. Here's just another example of a common area, very, very simple. And this would be all of the amenities for this neighborhood. Okay. So this is a bit more of the nitty gritty stuff. So when it comes to value in Lake Anna, of course the house is important, but what's generally most important is the view and the access to the water. Of course, the amenities have impact on the value of your home. You could essentially have the same exact house on 2 different lots, but one of them has panoramic views of the water, and one of them sorry, we had it pop up on our screen, but you have the same exact house on two different lots. One of them has panoramic views and one of them has essentially no views, or maybe the Chesapeake Bay Act prevents you from cutting down trees too close to the water. You might have $1 million difference just because of the view, if not more. So every single property on Lake Anna is on a private well and septic. Some of them are in community septics. That's a little bit more rare too. It's only a few that actually have that. So when you're looking at properties, especially for land and houses too, but especially for land, it's important to know whether it's going to be a conventional drain field or an alternative drain field. I don't know how much you guys deal with septic tests or perk tests out here. Okay.
Do you have a lot of alternatives, or is it mostly?
Not a lot, it's pretty rare, but you might have the same lot for 60,000 with an alternative drain field versus 100,000 with conventional, which is kind of funny because it doesn't cost that much for the difference, you know. But it's good to know you guys are familiar with that. Yeah, so touched on the same view or same house. And then the location on the lake is pretty important too. A lot of people really like this area of the lake. It's the widest. So it's a lot easier to avoid folks. There's really nice marina down here. It's the best for water sports, things like that. So I've had buyers come up to me and say they only want to be in this part of the lake.
End to end, what's the last?
17
17
miles.
miles.
Yeah. So, yeah, views on water frontage have more impact on the size of the home typically. Of course, you would want a big house, a big, beautiful house on a very nice lot. Would make the most sense. So it's easy, it can be easy to overbuild on certain lots. And then, of course, when you're looking at properties with your buyers, it's important to know what the water is like. So we already touched on water depth, making sure that the boat slips, even the water frontage that you may have with waterfront properties is deep enough to let you build a boathouse and keep your boat there. Another challenge can be the hydrilla, because you might be in the back of a cove and hydrilla is a weed, a water weed essentially, that's very hard to get rid of. So if that's in your cove or your water frontage, it can make it very challenging to keep your boat healthy too.
Is that something you can see, or you just need to know?
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, most of the time it grows up to the top of the water. It looks like just plants in the water, basically. Yeah. And then the stagnant water, we touched on that, and kind of being aware that Orange County and that end of the lake, show you guys again. So these upper ends of the lake, it's going to be a lot more stagnant water, and that's where the algae can affect everyone. All right, so this is a pretty cool area of the lake, and there's a couple of spots like this. This one's the Lake Islanders area. So people will bring their own volleyball sets and set them up in the water. I think that's really cool, and this will be every weekend. So, yeah, so typically any waterfront property is going to be above 750,000. And usually if it's under, we'll say 1.2 million, that water frontage is not going to be great. You're probably not going to be able to build a boathouse, or you don't have any view, or you can't do anything with your waterfront. So all around in Lake Anna, there's properties ranging from about 300,000 to up to 4.5 million. We actually had a record high sale in Lake Anna last year at 4.5. So that's been the most expensive property. I think it was about 13,000 square feet. Home, Peninsula had its own tennis court. It's pretty wild. I didn't get it. It sold before I got to see it in person, unfortunately. And then land, if you're buying a water access lot, this would be on the very low end, 50,000. Likely be an alternative drain field, probably be a smaller lot. And it can go even up to above 2 million. And that would be just a raw piece of land. But with something like that, you're likely going to have panoramic views and a ton of water frontage. So we'll come back, and talk about why water frontage is important, in feet as well. So this is Sunset Cove again. This house sold last year for 2.4 million. It was fully furnished and came with a boat. Yeah, it's crazy. Yep. So a lot of the buyers that I see in Lake Anna are going to be investors, second homeowners, developers, retirees, and remote workers. During COVID, uh, unfortunately, I wasn't licensed at the time, so I missed out. But during COVID, the market here had a huge boom. So people were working from home so much, and they figured they'd rather work where they had a good view. And they were also wanting more privacy, more space. And then really what sells Lake Anna is the lifestyle. So of course we have boating, water sports. There's no limitations on speed, how fast you go, except other than in no lake zones. People, there's a couple marinas that do fishing tournaments every single week. There's a huge sense of community there. You end up knowing just about everyone. Going to food line is like a family reunion. And there's all kinds of activities like Lake Anna Business Partnership. There's a lot of communities there and a handful of Facebook groups where just about everyone's active in. So this one is actually, this is a short-term rental hosted by Martina, actually. So they just furnished it. I hope it was okay. I put this in here, Martina. Thank you. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to see all the furnishings, but this is just a show of what some of the houses could look like in Lake Anna. All right, so if you're helping out an investor client, there's a lot of things to know with that as well. So most important would be making sure that the community allows short-term rentals. Most of the times, the listing agents will know that, but it's important that you do your own research because some neighborhoods are actively voting to ban or restrict your short-term rentals. Make sure you read all of the covenants and the meeting notes too, because the meeting notes will tell you if the community members are looking to restrict or ban short-term rentals. It actually happened a couple times where someone bought a piece of land, intended on building a house, and then they banned the short-term rentals. His only intention to buy that piece of land was to build a short-term rental. So, of course, he ended up losing money because he had to turn around and sell immediately, basically. So also with gated and private communities, there's not many of those, but make sure that they have reserves for the road and the common area repairs. That's pretty important, especially if you plan on having a boat there.
So does each neighborhood have their own individual HOAs?
They do, yep, every single one. And some of them, the most expensive one would probably be Sunset Cove, which I've talked a lot about. And that one is about 700 per quarter. So it's a little bit, it's just under 3,000 a year. But a lot of them, they range from 100 to maybe 500 a year. That's the average HOA. So this one, it's not a great view of the water behind it. But this one, it sold in 2024 for 1.55 million. The market still is growing in value in that area. It's been a little bit slower here. I kind of have a funny story that I'll come back to later on, but this picture is going to come back into play later. Here's another house on the water. I couldn't find where this sold or what this address was, but my photographer was just being very nice and let me use their pictures. There's another one. You can see they're probably gonna have pretty good views, and then of course it's a beautiful house. Got two slopes for their boats, beach area. You don't see a lot of people having beaches. There's another one. Sold for 1.68 2024. This was on the northern end of the lake. That's why I think it sold for less than what it could have gone for. Of course, you have beautiful landscaping on this one. So I talked earlier about sometimes we count on outside of the area agents to sell the properties, and it's because they don't do these things. So the conventional alternative, it's good to know that you guys know that here, but not verifying the HOA rules. Some people might want to put up a fence or a chicken coop even, and a lot of neighborhoods wouldn't allow that. So Dominion, we'll touch on this too, but Dominion owns the water. So they also own part of your waterfront. Technically, you have an agreement to use their waterfront property. Waterfront extension lines. I actually have a good story for this one. An agent that I know helped someone buy a waterfront property. They wanted to build a boathouse. And they found out after they bought it that the neighboring property has not had waterfront extension lines. So these waterfront extension lines are required by Dominion for you to be able to build a boathouse or anything on your waterfront, actually. So now this person bought a 1 point whatever $1 million property and they can't build a boathouse. So, and then during that time, actually, the owner of the adjoining property passed away. So it's gonna delay the process of resolving that for months, if not years. I'll kind of explain waterfront extension lines a bit more soon too. So also in the lake, because there's 3 counties, we have to know the rules of each county. And the Chesapeake Bay Act impacts Spotsylvania County, that side of the lake. And it mandates 100-foot buffers along the shoreline. So you cannot build anything within 100 feet of the shore. And typically you have to get approval to remove trees or plant trees, anything like that. And in Spotsy 2, if you find one wetland plant, or a surveyor or the county, if they find one wetland plant, it typically means you'll have to build 100 feet out from that plant. Which, yeah, it can be very challenging. Yeah.
What's defined as a wetland now?
There's specific plants, I want to say there's around 8 to 10 plants to look for. It's specific species of plants, and I don't know them off the top of my head. It's like hydrophic plants, I think is the term.
So they do water filtration.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would have, I forget the exacts, but it's like they 50% something to do with that plant. Like 50% of it is water or something like that. Yeah. So coming back to Dominion. So Dominion owns the entire lake. And actually I worded this wrong. It's not an easement. What the waterfront owners get, it's a perpetual revocable license for sole use. So anything you do on that waterfront, you have to get permission from Dominion. And with your waterfront, the normal level is 250 of the lake. So on the public side, it's 7 feet above normal full pond that Dominion owns. So you might have a lot that's sloped very high. So Dominion's not going to own much of that waterfront. But if it's a low grade, a low slope, Dominion will own much more of that waterfront. Yeah, and then of course you have to adhere to Dominion's rules and the county's rules. So with dock building, this is important with water frontage in feet. And this does tie into your waterfront extension lines. And I wish next time I'm going to bring an example of that. So these are Dominion's rules for water frontage and how big of a boathouse you can build. You have 0, this is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll read it through. 0 to 54 feet of waterfront, you can't build anything. You might be able to do riprap or a seawall, things like that, but you're not going to be able to build a slip or a pier. 55 to 100 feet, you can build 10 square feet per linear foot of shoreline. And then 100 to 300, this is where you're really getting into the higher end lots. These are going to be really nice because you can build a 2,000 square foot boathouse. And actually, Dominion does not like the word boathouse, so be cautious if you ever have to talk it. Yeah, you do not like it. Yeah,
What do they prefer?
boat dock. They don't like, Dominion can be very strict. They also just got a new person that handles all of these. And he's very, very strict on rule
But what's
following.
the hang up?
What's that?
What's the hang up with calling them boats or?
A boathouse, so they don't like the idea of a house being on the water. It seems too extravagant, too big, essentially. So yeah, you would call them and say, hey, I plan on building a covered dock. And then there's an entire application packet for that, just for Dominion, and then you still have to go through the county.
What would come first, Dominion and then the county?
Yeah. Yeah, and then over 300 feet, you get, you can only build a 3,000 square foot boat, house, but even if you have more than that, you're still limited to that 3,000 square feet. This is actually a dock builder's dock, so he went all out, of course.
That's deep.
Sure is, yeah. So he actually has 3 boat slips in here, and then you have the 2 on the sides. I haven't seen it in person myself, but I've heard a lot about it. They do parties there quite often. Here's another picture of it. Yeah. And they actually have their own private boat ramp on their water frontage, which is pretty rare to have on your own waterfront. And I can't zoom in, but I did put this in here just to show some of the other boat houses. You'll see a lot of smaller ones or even just regular docks. So some of the attractions nearby, it's a pretty rural area, so you're not gonna get a lot, but they're always doing activities there. So the new Kalahari Water Park, that's about 35 minutes away. Tim's at Lake Anna is a very popular spot. We'll see some pictures of that soon. They also have mini golf, ice cream, actually move through ice cream. Have you guys had that before? It was voted #1 in Virginia. It's local and homemade or freshly made. Let's see what else is there. There's boat rentals there. So there's mainly restaurants. They have like 5 restaurants to choose from. The Cove was popular. It's waterfront. Both Tim's and the Cove are waterfront. Lion's Den is another restaurant. That's a higher end dining experience. And then we do have a handful of wineries and breweries. One of the most popular is the Lake Anna Winery. And they actually used to do a Renaissance fair there every year, but I heard it was their last year because of changing ownership. Kings Dominion's only 45 minutes away. There's the Lake Anna State Park, which as a local, I don't think you would go there that much, but it's a good place to visit if you just want to see the area. We also have the Cutalong Golf Course, which is becoming a pretty large neighborhood. I think memberships are right now about 150,000. I don't play golf, so yeah, a little bit too pricey for me. But they're actually pairing up with Tiger Woods for him to design a second golf course there. So it is a popular area for people to go just for golf. And that is a waterfront area. You don't have much waterfront there though. Sturgeon Creek's Marina, they do the fishing tournaments, I believe twice a week, every Sunday and Thursday. And then Charlottesville is about 45 minutes away, DC is about 2 hours, Fredericksburg 30, and then Richmond 50, about 50 minutes. And of course, it's going to depend on what part of the lake you're at, because it can take 30 minutes to get from one end to the other. Because it's a lot of back roads, some of them are winding.
The Kalahari, that's not open.
Nope, it is not open yet. I think next year it should be. Yeah.
It's only a couple of years.
Yep, so this is Tim's at Lake Anna. Down here they got a couple shops, there's a mini arcade here, and this is a really old picture. So now there's actually a big hotel right here. It's actually, I think, the first and only waterfront hotel in Lake Anna. And there's no clerks or anything, everything's electronic. Yeah, so almost every single weekend there's gonna be music here, whether it's open mic night, and that's just about every restaurant there. There's music every weekend, karaoke nights, bingo nights, any of those kinds of activities. Here's another picture of Tim's. So on a Thursday afternoon when you're done with work, you can take your jet ski or your boat and then go to Tim's, buy water. There's a handful of restaurants like that. And then that house I showed earlier, that's this house right here. So part of the reason it looks gorgeous and it could have sold for more, but it's also on the high traffic road right here. And then it's still hard to see their water frontage here, but they had a nice, really nice boathouse. Yeah, so upcoming developments, I can't talk too much about some of the developments because I know a lot of people there, but there's a major push for a medical campus. Wink, wink. There's a lot of people are pushing for it, but I know of one that's pretty confident it's actually gonna happen. And in that campus, right next to it, there's intentions to have a shopping center. Some of these developments take a lot of time because you still have to do soil work, you have to find the land, lessees, and the companies are very strict here, and that's why it's been very hard to get a medical campus because they don't have the population. Most of our population is during the summer, so very touristy, so traffic is very different during summer versus winter, and that's why it's been very hard to get a medical campus there. The closest you can go is maybe Fredericksburg or Charlottesville. Um, let's see, yeah, so it'll have the shopping center. I think there's gonna be either a Royal Farms or a Wawa coming there, which is huge news for us, huge news. And then of course, I know you guys deal with this a lot, but we're getting data centers now too. There's one being worked on right now. And I don't think that any more will get approved. I don't know for sure because our community there is not a fan whatsoever. Don't blame them. And then I touched on kind of along in Tributary Bay. So Tributary Bay was supposed to be about an 800 home community. I don't know how it's changed since I last heard. They don't advertise anything through the MLS. It's all through private sales, but I do believe they offer compensation for agents. Yeah, and then these slides were provided by Martina, which I'm so grateful for. I'm sure you guys want to know about the investment side of things too, and what kind of returns you can get from a short-term rental. Martina is the person for that. I know she'd be happy to do any projected income on properties for us. So, you want to go over these, Martina?
Sure, I'll do it real quickly. So we are really a full service property management company. So a lot of investors will want to go buy a lake home, right? But then you got to furnish it, especially if you're building a new home, furnishing it. If you can imagine, trying to do it, hours away from where you live is really complicated and takes a long time. And so we've simplified that. And we provide a huge benefit by reducing the cost of furnishing too. So we have lots of wholesale partnerships with furniture companies, and we're able to, in a variety of different styles, furnish and install and get it all done within a matter of weeks for investors. So, and we do that at roughly 50% of the cost that it would normally cost for them to furnish their house. So that's something that is a huge value add for people that number one want to get into renting and earning some cash on their short-term rental quickly, and number two, people that want to save money, you know. And three, I think like the most important thing is we don't just furnish the house, we make it rental ready. So we do lots of different things that help make sure that it's a really great experience for guests, and that will allow investors to actually make more money too. So things like thinking through how people are going to navigate the home, what sort of supplies you need on hand, where a plug's going to go. Do you need a kids area? What sort of amenities are you going to put outside, sort of the whole 9 yards. Even labeling light switches. There's all of that stuff that really makes a big difference in the success of your short-term rental. So we do that. We also have been very successful in really elevating the guest experience here. We take a much different approach than the other property management companies on Lake Anna, where we want to make it a really seamless stay. Guests are paying upwards of $1,000 a night to stay. And we want to make sure they see that, they come and they have an amazing time and they focus on making memories versus driving to the store every day for toilet paper or paper towels or, whatever the case may be. We have the floaties, we have the beach bags, the beach towel, like we have everything. And guests walk in and feel like we knew who they were. And that has really resulted in some, outstanding performance of the properties that we have. I mentioned before, MPI, we are ahead of the market. We're at roughly 140% right now. When I created this, we're at 130%, but, and that's over the summer. So, and that's the most lucrative time for your short-term rental. It's going to be the busiest and rented the most. That's when people come to the lake, right? But I do want to make a quick note that you do earn income. I mean, we do, while occupancy is a little bit lower, 40 to 50% of the time your house is going to be rented, depending on the quality of the home and that sort of thing and what sort of amenities you have, it's going to be rented throughout the year. So there's a big misconception that, you're only going to make money in the summer. That's actually not the case. People come to the lake in the winter too. And because the warm side is warm, you actually can, the season for swimming and that sort of thing is really extended. I have a house on the private side, and my kids start swimming in March and they get to swim until October, sometimes even November. So there's a lot of benefits. I always like to talk about the private side because it really is there's an extended season. Anyway, I digress. A few other things that I just like to call out. We do really focus on direct bookings. When you book on OTAs like Airbnb and VRBO, they take a big cut of your revenue. And so we focus on direct bookings, which means that owners put more money in their pockets. We also we price differently than the other property management companies. We do 20% of net revenue, which means that owners put, again, more money in their pockets. And in terms of performance beyond, the market penetration, I want to call it just a couple of others. Our ratings are in the top 1% in the area. So quality reviews, guests are very happy. 100% of our reviews are 5-star. And both of our home, not both, and all of the homes that we have that we managed achieved the top 5% of bookings within 6 weeks. So we very quickly were able to get, good guests in, and they were very, very happy with it and left really great reviews. So, but it really starts at the point that somebody is looking for a home. And so, or even thinking about looking for a home, understanding what their options are. So please reach out. We are happy to provide very accurate and realistic revenue forecasts for any property. So even if it's like water access, or maybe they don't have a lot of shore, if they're thinking about something and they're maybe trying to do it at a lower price point, I am happy to provide those rental forecasts, so that you can really advise them with a lot of confidence. Um, and I say accurate because there are, other property management companies that will do this as a way to maybe sort of sell someone on something, but you really want your client to get what they need out of the property. And so it being very accurate is obviously very, very important. We often see, not often, on occasion, we see someone that, was promised, $250,000 a year, right? And then that doesn't happen. And then, they have to go turn around and sell it. So, I just want to, emphasize, the realistic revenue and really painting them like a very accurate picture, is really in their best interest. So anyway, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you have a specific guest looking for something, in particular with regards to like, something on the short-term rental side, please reach out and ask. I'm happy to talk or share more with you so that you can pass that along.
Martina, what would you say is a range? I mean, I know there's a lot of factors, but what would you say a range is as far as monthly income from a good short-term rental?
Sure. Probably best to look at like an entire year.
Mhm.
But I would say, I just had a rental that was making $500,000 a year, but that is definitely not the norm. Okay. So it was the number one short-term rental. We just sold it, but so it can do that, right? But that was a big home and worked really, 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 really hard on that. Required a lot of my attention as an owner. And then there are properties that, depending on how much the owner wants to use it, maybe it's a smaller home, maybe only generate like $50,000 a year. But, that's maybe really nice for the person who owns that home because they get to use it for part of the year and then rent it for part of the year. So, It really depends on how often the owner wants to use it, what side of the lake it's on. A lot of the things that Mason was talking about. How much shoreline do you have? What amenities do you have? How big is the home? How many capacity is a big thing, right? How many people can it sleep? How many beds do you have? And again, what's the experience like? And do people come back? So the house that I just bought is much smaller. It's a small rambler that was built, 50 years ago. Um, but because it has, you know, 500 feet of shoreline and it has like, some really great outdoor features, it'll make like 200 grand a year. So, but that's, again, you could take another house that's maybe newer, but maybe doesn't have as much shoreline and not as much space to kind of do things outdoors, and it might do less, right? So it kind of depends on all of those things. And so we take that all into account when we do these rental forecasts or revenue forecasts, so we can kind of get an accurate picture of what that revenue would look like. I hope that helps. I think people always wonder like why Lake Anna or they've never heard of it. I wanted to share just a couple of things about why it's so popular. Mason has shared a lot, but it was ranked as the top U.S. vacation home investment by Vacasa, AirDNA, and Travel and Leisure. And so it was ranked, and all of a sudden it blew up, right? As soon as that hit, of all the people that wanted to earn some additional cash and then also be able to take some care of some of the tax advantages. That is also a huge reason that people buy down here and run short-term rentals is for that purpose. Um, but it has all these really great stats, right? 12.2% cap rate, 50% occupancy rate across the market. And just in the last 2 years, the home prices have grown by 30%. So not only are you seeing investors come down here to take advantage of the cash flow from a short-term rental, but there's a lot of flippers now too. Like they want to buy a property, they want to turn it into a successful short-term rental and then sell it. It is literally what I just did, and it can be very, very lucrative. So there's a lot of reasons people come down here. I would say the primary reason is that people want a vacation home that they can go to on the weekend. It's an easy drive. They can use it and earn money. But there's lots of reasons that people come down here and invest. So anyway, I hope this is helpful, but it is what I really love about it, and actually just even for my own family, is that we can come down here for the day. We have a boat, like we get out on the water. It's a nice escape from Northern Virginia, and it's kind of where you make core memories, right? On the lake. And I grew up on the lake. So but people love it, and it's a really easy drive. And so you can come down here for a day, for a week, for a weekend. And yeah, and it's super close. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. Thanks, Mason, for giving me the chance to share a little bit.
Of course, thank you, Martina. Yeah. Yeah. So other than that, I did include a list of resources. I'd be happy to send this to anyone if they're interested. Yeah, that's about it. Well, I appreciate you guys I think you for engaging in it as well. I know you didn't plan on being here for this, but I do appreciate that.
No, but I learned an awful lot, and you have me thinking about some clients who are looking for potential waterfront, properties, and this wasn't really on my radar. So this helped a great deal. So the one thing that you said you were going to go back to, but I didn't hear you talk about the tax.
Oh, yes, the dike. Yep. Okay.
The dike or pack?
Dike,
Okay.
dike. It's spelled D-I-K-E. Let's see. Yeah. I don't have any other pictures of it on here. But yeah, so this is the dike right here. It separates the public and the private side. This is the public. Well, I should know this just by looking, but the main reason I can tell because all the boat traffic right here. The private side, you're not going to have that. Plus, you can see how wide it is. Private side, you're not going to have that much width. Go back to this picture. Here. So these lines, this isn't the greatest picture or map, but these lines right here are the separators of the public and private side. So all of this is the private side. So that's where you're going to get the warmer water, a lot less boat traffic. And like Martina was saying too, she had to go. I know she had another appointment, but I completely forgot where I was going, but you do get a longer swimming season and boating season there, which is really nice. I used to live on the private side as well. Of course, I live right here now. But yeah, yeah. So this is all the public side, and these three lines are called the dikes, which separate it. So you can't go under them at all. There's no way to get from the private and public side by water. And then everyone on this side, you have to either know someone on the private side or own on the private side to get here. Yep, yep. It is, yep. So it's kind of funny though, because the public side tends to appraise a bit more just because of the access to the amenities, like the marinas, restaurants. Um, as far as buyers go, it's kind of all around the board. I notice, I don't know, some people have to be on the public side and some people have to be on the private. It's kind of all over. I will say too, on the private side, the water can be very warm during the summer.
It's into the 80s.
Yeah, even, yeah, yeah.
It's like bathwater.
It is, it is. It's very,
That's why you can swim in it until October.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to figure the public side is about 50 degrees in October,
Mhm.
and you have to add
yeah.
a bit more than.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's very.
it's almost uncomfortable.
It is. Yeah, you get out, to cool off.
Uncomfortable.
You get out of the water to cool off. And then, so the power plant is right in here. So of course, it's gonna be much warmer here than it would be down here. So these are called the cooling ponds.
I was going
There's
to ask
three.
what was attributing to the difference in temperature.
Yeah, so the water comes through the public side, goes into the power plant here. The water goes into the nuclear reactor to cool it down. And it is extremely safe. I've been swimming there my whole life, but we do get in this.
Right there, you said to go.
Yeah, our catfish have 5 eyeballs. And about 2. Yeah, delicious. Yeah, exactly, that's the flavor, But yeah, so it goes in here, it goes into cooling ponds 1, 2, and 3. And we actually have a brewery called Cooling Pond. These are also called the lagoons. Yeah. So that's why there's such a big temperature difference. And I don't know exactly how much water goes through there a day through the plant, but it's quite a bit. Yeah. And of course, if you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to answer or direct you somewhere.
Great, well, we'll post this on to our public resources and we'll get some distribution out to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that.
Maybe we could do put on a, little Rovers Open or field trip or something
Yeah.
fun down there.
That'd be great.
Um,
Yeah, I love that. I could set up some boats and stuff for that too.
yeah, I mean, just a day on the lake, and Mason could show the view of all that. You can do a tour. We could have it catered down there.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
My house is, still there. We could throw a vent in there if we needed to. We could go off the land if we needed to.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, so Andrew's involved in quite a few projects in that area too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But, Mason with this whole contingent in Martina down there is, and Melissa build houses down there, I'd be like contractors, builders,
Yeah.
land developers, Grant County dock builders. You definitely have the crews
Yeah.
to make anything happen, so. But yeah, I think that'd be fun. I think it's easier for me, I'm visual, I need to get down there and.
Yeah,
Feel touch.
Yeah, plus, when you're on the water, I'm not gonna lie, it was nice for free from the day to day, it's like, oh, this is working, this is nice.
yeah, that's why in the presentation,